My name is Sienna Brooks, and I'm 33 years old. If you'd asked me a few months ago to describe my life, I would have said it was steady. Not glamorous, not tragic, just solid in a way that made sense to me. I worked as a senior project manager for a mid-sized tech firm. Spreadsheets, forecasts, problem solving. I made a decent salary. Lived in a one-bedroom apartment with a dishwasher that kicked on automatically at 11:45 p.m. to catch off-peak power rates. And every Sunday at 6:00 p.m., my budget spreadsheet updated itself, color-coded formulas, locked projections tucked neatly into hidden tabs. That sheet was my ballast. As long as the numbers lined up, I felt like my life did too. At the center of that steady life was my boyfriend of 11 months, Declan Moore. Declan was the kind of man people noticed, not because he was the loudest in the room, more because he carried himself like he belonged in every room. Tall, easy smile, good hair, sharp jawline that looked like it had been sketched on purpose. He worked in PR, which felt fitting. He knew exactly how to present himself. Friends liked him. My co-workers liked him. Even my mother, who was suspicious of anyone I dated for more than 2 weeks, said he seems polished. That's good for you, Sienna. You need someone with standards. Back then, I thought standards meant he ironed his shirts and didn't leave dishes in the sink overnight. I didn't realize it was something he wielded like a measuring stick I'd never be tall enough to meet. We met at a friend's game night. I'd shown up in jeans and a sweater hair and a messy bun, expecting to lose at charades and go home early. He'd been leaning against the kitchen counter, laughing with a couple of people I didn't know. At some point, we ended up on the same team. I guessed the movie he was acting out in 3 seconds. He grinned at me like I'd done something extraordinary. "You're dangerous," he'd said. "I like that." We exchanged numbers. 3 days later, he asked me out. Within a month, we were exclusive. By month 3, he had a toothbrush at my apartment. By month 6, it was our spot and our shows and our weekend routine. Around month 6 is also when it started, being Maya. The first time he mentioned her, it sounded harmless. We were getting ready for dinner with some friends. I pulled on a navy dress I'd worn a dozen times, simple, comfortable, the kind of thing you could dress up or down. I came out of the bedroom, smoothed the fabric over my hips, and asked, "Is this okay?" Declan glanced up from his phone. "Yeah, it's nice. Maya used to wear a dress kind of like that, but she always added a belt. It really pulled everything together. You should try that sometime." He said it casually, like he was commenting on the weather. I laughed it off. "Who's Maya?" I asked. He shrugged. "My ex. We dated a while. She had great style. That's all I mean. Everyone has an ex. Everyone has more than one." I filed the name away and forgot about it. Except I didn't. Not really. It lingered at the back of my mind like a tab I'd minimized, but never closed. A week later, we were at a restaurant I'd picked, a new place downtown I'd read about online. Bright, cozy, not expensive, but not cheap. I liked the mismatched chairs and plants and hanging pots. Declan looked around then at the menu. "This is cute," he said. "Maya would have loved this. She was always finding little spots like this before they blew up on Instagram." He smiled when he said it, but something under my ribs tightened. I told myself, it's fine. People mention their exes. It doesn't mean anything. Except it kept going. Maya always knew the right wine to order. Maya had such good taste in music. You'd like her playlists. Maya never wore sneakers to dinner, even casual places. She believed in effort. Her name slipped into conversations like seasoning he didn't realize he was overusing, sprinkled over everything until it started to change the flavor of my days. At first, I joked about it. Should I start a "what would Maya do" list? I asked one night. Half teasing, half testing. He laughed. "Don't be dramatic, I'm just saying. She had standards. That's a good thing to learn from standards." There it was again. 2 months ago, I finally asked the question that had been growing like a splinter. We were on his couch, some forgettable show playing in the background. His head was in my lap. I was absent-mindedly brushing my fingers through his hair. "Why did you and Maya break up?" I asked. He stiffened for a second, just enough for me to feel it. Then he sat up, grabbed the remote, turned the volume down. "It just didn't work out," he said. "Different stages of life. She couldn't really keep up with my expectations. Timing was wrong." "Expectations," I repeated. "Like standards." He smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "You make that sound like a bad word. I just mean, if she was so great, why are you not together?" "Because sometimes great isn't enough," he said. "Can we not do this? I'm with you now. That should be what matters." He kissed my forehead and lay back down. Conversation over. I told myself I was reading too much into it, that everyone edits their history with an X, that if I pushed, I'd seem needy or insecure. Then about a month ago, I saw the text. We were at my apartment. Both of us sprawled on the couch after dinner. He went to the bathroom and left his phone on the coffee table. It buzzed, lighting up the screen. I didn't touch it. I didn't need to. The preview flashed big and bright. Maya, miss you, coffee soon. My stomach dropped so fast it felt like I'd missed a step on an invisible staircase. When he came back, I was still staring at the screen. Your phone went off, I said, forcing my voice to sound neutral. He picked it up, glanced at it, and locked the screen. Yeah, Maya, we're friends. Friends, I repeated. You're still in touch. Is that a problem? His tone was light, but his jaw tightened. I don't know, I said. You talk about her a lot, and now she's texting you that she misses you. Sienna, he said, drawing out my name like he was soothing a child. You're being insecure. Maya and I are over. We're adults. We can be friends. That's what mature people do. They stay on good terms. Mature people? I echoed. Yeah, he said. You trust your partner. You don't freak out because an ex wants coffee. I swallowed whatever I was about to say because what I wanted to say was, I wouldn't be freaking out if you hadn't been turning her into this flawless ghost you keep hanging over my head. But I didn't say that. I nodded instead. Okay, you're right. I overreacted. He smiled, satisfied. That's all I'm asking. 2 nights ago, everything finally cracked. We were at his place. He was cooking dinner, pasta with some complicated sauce he'd learned from a YouTube chef. I had stopped on my way over and picked up a bottle of wine I knew he liked. He'd mentioned it once in passing. I'd written down the name in my notes app because that's the kind of person I am. I track things I remember. I set the bottle on the counter. Thought this might go well with the pasta? He looked at it, then at me. This is what you brought. Yeah, I said, suddenly unsure. It's the same one we had last month. You said you liked it. He sighed a long, theatrical exhale. It's fine. It's just no offense, Sienna, but Maya had standards. She never grabbed whatever was convenient. She would spend time picking something really thoughtful. You could learn something from that. I stopped moving. For a second, the only sound in the kitchen was the soft simmer of sauce. You want me to be more like your ex-girlfriend, I said quietly. I want you to care about quality, he replied. You just default to practical. You don't push yourself. I picked a bottle of wine you said you liked, I said. That's not pushing myself. Don't be defensive, he said, turning back to the stove. I'm trying to help you improve. Something slid into place inside me. Not anger, not exactly. More like clarity. Like someone had finally turned all the lights on in a room I'd been stumbling through half asleep. Got it, I said. He glanced over. Got what? I'll work on that, I said. On learning. He smiled, satisfied. Good, that's all I'm asking. We ate dinner. We watched a show he'd picked. He fell asleep halfway through, head tipped back, mouth slightly open like nothing about the night had been unusual. I lay there, eyes on the ceiling, my mind replaying every Maya would comment, every mention of her standards. Every time he'd made me feel like I'd come up short in some invisible comparison. Around 11:30 p.m., his breathing steadied into a soft snore. I slipped my arm out from under him, moved slowly so I wouldn't wake him, and picked up my phone. I opened Instagram, typed Maya Cole into the search bar. She popped up on the first try. Her profile was mostly public. She was pretty, of course she was. Dark hair, sharp features, the kind of wardrobe that looked effortless and expensive at the same time. Photos of rooftop bars, art galleries, weekend trips. She looked like the kind of woman who never second-guessed whether she belonged in a room. My thumb hovered over the message button for a full minute. This was insane. No sane person messaged their boyfriend's ex in the middle of the night. This was the kind of thing people in messy Reddit stories did. The kind I read, shook my head at, and told myself I would never, ever become. And yet I clicked message. My heart hammered as I typed. Hi, Maya, you don't know me. My name is Sienna, and I'm currently dating Declan. I know this is weird, and I'm not trying to start drama. I need to ask you something. Did he ever compare you to his ex before you? He keeps telling me I should learn from your standards, and I'm starting to feel like I'm losing my mind. I stared at the words. My thumb hovered over send. I thought of his voice. Mature people don't freak out. Mature people have standards. I hit send. The message whooshed out into the void between us. I locked my phone, slipped it back onto the coffee table, and sat there in the dim light of his living room, listening to him snore and the sauce sputter softly on the stove, even though we'd already eaten. 10 minutes, no response. 20. Nothing. By the time I slid out of his apartment and drove home, my message was still unread. I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling phone face down on the nightstand, caught between dread that she'd answer and dread that she never would. Either way, I'd done something I couldn't take back. The message sat there like a stone at the bottom of a dark lake. Sent, sunk, invisible, unread. I woke up 3 times that night, each time fumbling for my phone, each time seeing the same thing. No little seen note, no new notification, just my own words hanging in the void. By the time my alarm went off at 6:30, I felt like I'd barely slept. At 7:15, I was dressed for work and staring at my reflection foundation, failing to hide the faint shadows under my eyes. I pulled my hair into a low ponytail, tried to smile, watched it falter halfway. My phone lay on the bathroom counter screen, still blank. "This is what you get," I muttered at myself. "You wanted drama, you got drama." At the office, I was at my desk computer, humming to life, my inbox loaded. My brain did all the normal things. Sorted emails, scanned deadlines, checked a shared spreadsheet, but the rest of me was somewhere else, hovering over one stupid DM. At 8:40, I cracked and flipped my phone over. Nothing. By 10:00, I was starting to hope she'd never answer. If she ignored me, I could file the whole thing under temporary lapse in judgment, pretend it never happened, and go back to convincing myself Declan's comparisons were just quirks. Annoying, but harmless, manageable. At 10:17, my phone buzzed. The notification was small, almost innocuous. "Maya Cole replied to your message." My heart slammed so hard I thought my coworkers might hear it. I swiped it open. Her first response was exactly 1 line. "This is weird." I exhaled a laugh that was closer to a choke. Before I could decide whether to apologize or backpedal, 3 more bubbles appeared. "I don't know you. Why would I talk about my ex with his new girlfriend? What exactly are you asking me?" I stared at the screen for a full 30 seconds, weighing every possible answer. Then I typed, "I know it's weird. I'm sorry. He talks about you all the time. Compares me to you. Says you had standards I should learn from. He also said you couldn't handle his expectations. I just need to know if this is normal or if you've seen this before." For a long moment, the chat was empty. Then the tiny typing indicator popped up, disappeared, popped up again like she was starting and erasing. Finally, "Of course he said that. He always leaves out his part of the story." My fingers hovered. What part did he leave out? A full minute passed. "Look, Sienna, right, I don't want to be dragged back into Declan's nonsense. But since you asked, yes, he did the comparison thing with me too. Only it wasn't you, it was the ex before me." The office around me blurred. The chatter, the clack of keyboards, the whir of the printer, it all receded. "He constantly compared you to someone else," I wrote. Every single day, another bubble appeared before I could respond. "She made more money, she dressed better, she knew the right wine to order. Sound familiar?" I didn't realize my hands were shaking until I left a typo and had to backspace 3 times. "He says you had standards, that you taught him what quality looks like." "That's his favorite line," she replied. Translation: "You are never enough, but maybe if you try harder, I'll approve." I swallowed. Why did you two actually break up? It took a while for her answer to come. I started noticing things. Little lies, stories that didn't match where he said he was. Money stuff that didn't add up. I never caught him with anyone, if that's what you're asking. But my gut screamed that something was off. Did he cheat, maybe? Probably. At a certain point, I realized it didn't matter. The constant comparisons, the rewriting of history, the way he made everything my fault. I just knew I had to get out. My chest tightened. He told me you couldn't handle his expectations, that the timing was wrong. Of course he did. He can't say I treated her like she was always in second place and she finally stopped auditioning. I stared at that line for so long my computer screen went to sleep. Has he always been like this? I typed. I don't know who taught him that standards means humiliate your partner into compliance. But yeah, I only know what he did with me, and apparently he's recycling the script with you. A hollow laugh escaped me too soft for anyone to notice. Recycling the script. I thought of all the times I'd tried to be understanding, tried to tell myself I was being overly sensitive. The times I'd brushed aside the sting because everyone had exes. Everyone had memories. It wasn't just memory, it was a pattern. Why are you still in touch with him then? I asked. I saw your text. Miss you. Coffee soon? There was a longer pause. That was a mistake. I was lonely, curious. He's charming when he wants to be. You know that. I regretted it the second I hit send. I'm not proud of that. Did you go once? It reminded me exactly why I left. I should have blocked his number and walked away. I'm trying to fix that now. I sat back in my chair, the cheap office cushion squeaking under the shift of weight. My reflection stared back at me in the darkened part of my monitor eyes, too wide mouth pressed thin. "Thank you for telling me," I wrote. "I'm sorry to drag you into this. I just needed to know I wasn't crazy." "You're not crazy. You're just where I was a year ago, and I wish someone had told me sooner. This is not about you. This is who he is." The cursor blinked. My next message came from somewhere reckless and exhausted. "I want to confront him. I want him to hear that I know what he's doing. Would you be willing to tell him yourself, even just once, so he can't say I made it up?" The typing indicator appeared for a long time, then vanished. I imagined her reading that request, scoffing, maybe rolling her eyes, maybe blocking me altogether. When her response finally came, it was blunt. "Absolutely not. I'm not getting pulled back into his drama. I got out already. Whatever you decide to do it without me." Heat prickled at the corners of my eyes. "I get it. Thank you anyway. I really do appreciate you answering. Sienna, if he's doing to you what he did to me, get out. Don't wait for him to admit anything. He won't. Take it from the ghost of girlfriends past." A small, humorless smile tugged at my mouth. Ghost of girlfriends past. The rest of the day dragged and blurred at the same time. I moved through my tasks like I was underwater, answered emails, joined a meeting, nodded when my manager went over a timeline. All the while, my mind was replaying every detail of Maya's messages. By the time I got home that evening, my apartment felt different somehow. Same couch, same kitchen, same little plant over my sink, but the air felt thinner, stretched. Declan texted around 7:00. "How's your day beautiful thinking about you?" I stared at the message bile rising. How many times had he sent something similar to Maya to the ex before her? Did he copy-paste his tenderness too? I typed back. "Long day, tired. Can we talk tomorrow morning? I want to come over around 9:00. The 3 dots appeared almost immediately. "Everything okay? I just want to talk in person." A pause. "Sure, 9:00 is fine. I'll make coffee." I put my phone down and went to stand by the window looking out over the parking lot. Cars pulled in and out. People went about their lives carrying groceries, walking dogs, unlocking doors. Normal nights. My phone buzzed again at 9:32. I grabbed it expecting Declan. It wasn't him. It was Maya. "I've been thinking," she wrote. "I hate this. I hate that he's still taking up space in my brain. But I hate even more that he's doing to you what he did to me." Another bubble. "If you really want to confront him, I'll come once. I'll say my piece and leave." My hands trembled. "Are you sure?" I typed. "No, but I'm doing it anyway." "When?" "Tomorrow 9:00 a.m., his place. I'll be there at 9:15. You go in first, give me the address. And after this, I'm blocking his number for good and probably yours too. No offense." A shaky laugh escaped my throat. "None taken. Thank you, really." I sent her the address. Then I set my phone face down on the kitchen counter and leaned both hands on the cool, laminate breathing carefully. Tomorrow, at 9:00 a.m., I was going to walk into Declan's apartment like it was any other visit. At 9:15, the ghost he'd weaponized against me for months was going to knock on his door. For the first time since this whole thing started, I felt something other than confusion or shame. I felt steady, terrified, but steady. I woke up before my alarm. It wasn't nerves, or not just nerves. It was the strange, clean calm that comes after a storm has already decided which direction it's going to break. My room was gray-blue with early light quiet except for the hum of my fridge. For a long moment, I just lay there staring at the ceiling, feeling each breath stretch and settle. Today was the day. I dressed more slowly than usual, choosing jeans, a soft sweater, ballet flats, neutral, safe, and nothing he could twist into a comment about effort or style or standards. I tied my hair half up, half down, not too casual, not too formal, the kind of look someone wears when they're ending something politely. At 8:20, I forced myself to eat half a granola bar so I wouldn't shake through the conversation. At 8:35, I grabbed my keys. At 8:53, I was standing at Declan's door. He opened it almost immediately, smiling, like nothing in the world had ever gone wrong for him. "Morning," he said, leaning down to kiss my cheek. His stubble brushed my skin. "Familiar, practiced. You look nice." I stepped back before his lips touched me. His smile faltered by a millimeter. "Can I come in?" I asked. He blinked. "Yeah, of course." The apartment was exactly as I remembered. Minimalist, curated, intentionally masculine, but Instagram clean. His favorite mug sat on the counter, 2 pans air drying on a towel, a folded throw blanket on the couch. It struck me then. Everything in his life looked good from a distance. Perfect, even. It only fell apart when you stepped close enough to see the seams. He followed me into the living room, crossing his arms loosely like he was settling into a conversation he planned to win. "So," he said, "what's going on? You're being a little mysterious." I sat on the edge of the couch. He stayed standing. "I want to talk about Maya," I said. His jaw flexed. "What about her?" he asked. "I messaged her." Silence. "Then you what?" "I reached out." I repeated, keeping my voice even. "Last night." His arms uncrossed so fast it looked like the air had burned him. "Are you kidding me right now? You contacted my ex behind my back." "Yes." His voice rose. "That's insane, Sienna. That's a violation of boundaries. I needed the truth," I said quietly. "And you think she's going to give you that?" He snapped. "She's jealous. She's obsessed with me. She twists everything. You seriously believe anything she told you?" "She didn't volunteer anything," I said. I asked. "She didn't want to get involved." "She shouldn't have gotten involved at all." "She didn't," I said calmly. "I asked her one question." "And what did she say?" He demanded, stepping closer. "What lies did she feed you? That you compared her to your ex before her?" I said. "Every day the same way you've been comparing me to her." His nostrils flared. "That's not true." "She said you rewrote the story of that other ex, made her sound perfect so you could use her as a benchmark. She said you used standards as a weapon." He barked. "She's bitter. She's projecting. She couldn't handle your expectations." I finished for him. He froze. Deep inside, something in me cracked open. Not broken, but released. "You think I haven't noticed the pattern, Declan?" I asked softly. "The way you keep score. The way you hold up one woman as an ideal to shame the next. The way no one is ever good enough for you, but somehow you're always the victim of mismatched timing." "You're twisting this," he said. But there was a flicker of panic under his tone now. "You're letting a jealous ex—" "Declan," I stood. "We're not alone." He blinked, confused. "What does that mean?" There was a knock at the door. 3 soft raps. He turned toward the sound color draining from his face. "Who the hell—" "It's Maya," I said. For a moment he looked genuinely afraid. "You didn't," he whispered. "You didn't bring her here. She's here to say her piece." I said. "Then she's leaving." "You had no right," he shouted. "This is my home. You don't ambush someone like that." "Declan," I said, my voice steady. "Open the door." He hesitated. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3. The knock came again, louder. He swore under his breath and stalked to the door, yanking it open as if he planned to tear into whoever was behind it. Maya stood there. She looked different from her photos, smaller, somehow more tired, her hair pulled back, dark circles under her eyes, like she hadn't slept much either. She wore a simple sweater, jeans, boots, no makeup, no armor. Her voice was quiet when she spoke. "Declan." His jaw clenched. "Get out! I'm not in your house," she said evenly. "Not yet." He stepped back, outraged, as she walked past him into the apartment. She didn't look at me. She focused solely on him. "You told her I compared you to your ex." She said, "Every day that I couldn't handle your expectations, that I was unstable, that you were the level-headed one." "Because you were," he said, voice rising. "You are. You're acting like a crazy person right now." She laughed once, a short, hollow sound. "There it is." "There what is?" he snapped. "Your script," she said, his face twisted. "Oh, please." "You did this to me," she said, still calm. "And now you're doing it to her. The comparisons, the impossible standards, the way you rewrite your relationship, so you always come out the victim. It's the same pattern. You haven't changed." He stepped toward her. "You don't know anything about what I've changed. You don't get to walk in here and pretend you didn't sabotage us. You cheated." "I didn't cheat," she said sharply. "I caught you lying about where you were, about who you were with, about money. You imagined that—" "No," she said. "I finally stopped imagining you were who you said you were." He looked like he might throw something. His eyes darted to the counter, to the coffee mug sitting near the sink. His hand twitched. I stepped closer. "Declan." I said, "Don't." He spun toward me. "You don't get to talk right now." Maya's expression didn't change. "There's the other version of you. I'm done with this," he said. "Both of you need to leave now." "No," Maya said softly. "I'm done. You'll never see or hear from me again, but she deserves to know who she's been dating, what she's been living with." "I already know," I said. Declan turned to me. "Sienna, look, I'm sorry. Okay, I messed up. I compared you to someone and that wasn't fair. But you blindsided me and you brought my ex into my home and you're making me look like some kind of—" "I'm done," I said. His mouth opened. "Sienna." "No," I said, stepping back. "I've spent months trying to meet your standards, trying to be enough, trying to be whatever version of me you'd finally approve of, and I'm done. You're making a mistake," he said, voice cracking. "She's lying." "She just wants peace," Maya said. "That's all I want." Declan pointed at her. "You don't get to—" He didn't finish the sentence. The mug he'd been glaring at smashed against the wall. Not thrown at Maya, but thrown because of her, because of me, because the version of himself he curated couldn't hold up anymore. Maya didn't flinch. I did. For one heartbeat, the room was silent except for the soft crackle of ceramic shards settling on the floor. I straightened. "I'm leaving," I said. "Sienna. And I don't want you to contact me," I said, ever again. "Sienna, please." "No." I stepped around him, around the broken pieces of the mug, past the counter where he'd lectured me about standards, past the couch where he'd fallen asleep while I spiraled beside him. I reached the door. Behind me, Maya finally exhaled. "Goodbye, Declan." I opened the door, walked out, didn't look back. The hallway felt 10 degrees cooler than the apartment. I didn't breathe until I reached the elevator. When the door slid shut, the rush of air leaving my lungs felt like surrender and freedom all at once. 5 weeks later, I still hadn't seen or heard from Declan, not directly. A mutual friend texted to say Declan was telling people I had conspired with Maya to sabotage him, that I was insecure, unhinged, emotionally unstable, that I'd ambushed him in his own home. The friend added, "It doesn't really add up, but he sounded pretty convinced." I didn't defend myself, didn't send screenshots, didn't explain. Let him curate whatever version of me made him feel like he'd won. I blocked his number, blocked his email, blocked him on every app. I even archived old photos, not out of anger, but because I didn't need evidence of the months I'd spent shrinking myself for someone who wasn't capable of seeing anything past his own reflection. I didn't hear from Maya again either. True to her word, she said what she needed to say and disappeared from both our lives. Sometimes I wondered if she really blocked my number. I hope she did. I hope she found peace. I wasn't dating anyone. I wasn't even thinking about dating anyone. I was learning to like my quiet again. The dishwasher clicking on at 11:45 p.m., the spreadsheets updating on Sundays, the feel of my own life filling back into its bones. But sometimes, late at night, I'd catch myself thinking about the moment everything had snapped into clarity. How one conversation had shown me the truth I'd been trying not to see. Some lessons hurt like hell, but they free you too. I learned that constant comparisons aren't harmless nostalgia. They're leverage. I learned that standards can be a cage if someone builds them just right. I learned that if someone keeps measuring you against a ghost, it's because they never plan to see you as a whole person at all. And I learned that sometimes the only way to trust your instincts is to hear your story echoed in someone else's voice, someone who already escaped. I'm Sienna Brooks, 33, single, still healing, but steady, and I don't regret messaging Maya. Maybe this story touched something inside you, a moment you lived, a feeling you once carried in silence. We've all been Sienna at some point. We've all tried to twist ourselves into shapes we weren't meant to be just to fit into the empty space someone else left behind. It's a subtle kind of poison, isn't it? The comparison game. It starts quietly. A comment about a dress, a remark about a restaurant, a helpful suggestion about how we could be just a little bit better, a little bit more like her. And before we know it, we are competing with a ghost. We are fighting a battle we can never win because the person we are fighting against doesn't exist. She is a curated memory stripped of her flaws, polished to perfection, and weaponized to keep us feeling small. Sienna's story isn't just about a breakup. It's about the realization that standards shouldn't feel like a punishment. A partner who truly loves you doesn't use their past to grade your present. They don't make you feel like you are auditioning for the role of their significant other. They see you, the real you, with your practical shoes and your budget spreadsheets, and they think you are enough. There is a powerful lesson here about solidarity, too. In a world that often tries to pit women against each other, the new girl versus the crazy ex, Sienna and Maya chose a different path. They chose truth over drama. They chose to validate each other's reality instead of fighting over a man who didn't deserve either of them. If you are currently in a relationship where you feel like you are constantly being measured and found wanting, please listen to that quiet voice inside you, the one that says, "I am doing my best," the one that says, "This doesn't feel right." You are not crazy. You are not insecure. You are being manipulated. And just like Sienna, you have the power to walk away. You have the power to stop shrinking. If this story resonated with you, share your thoughts or your own experience in the comments. Have you ever been compared to an ex? How did you handle it? Tell me your story. And tell me where you're watching from so I can create more stories just for you, because you are enough just as you are. See you in the next one.